Yeah, thank you so much. Happy to be here.
Fantastic. So tell us about your business. What do you do?
Yeah, I laugh sometimes. I laugh all the time, actually, when I get asked that, because what I do now is very different than what I've done for a very, very long time. What I do now is I'm a somatic breathwork facilitator, women's empowerment and embodiment coach. So I help people release trapped emotions and regain that like real deep connection to self. Some people get that, and some people are like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't know what that is. So then I go down this whole spiel, but that is what I do. Somatic embodiment coach.
Okay, now I need to know why. So tell us the story about how you got into doing this work. What happened in your life that
Yeah.
just opened these doors?
Yeah. Well, I spent 15 years as a personal trainer, fitness competitor and athlete and yoga teacher for the last 4 of those 15 years. And I was running retreats in beautiful places in the world, and everything seemed really great. And there was always just this like, there's something else. Like it felt very superficial, which I mean, fitness maybe is a little bit superficial. I mean, I still love it, so I'm not knocking it, but I wanted something deeper. I didn't know what that was. I thought yoga was that deeper, and it was an aspect. It was a part of it. It was like really dipping the toes in, and maybe like, I don't know, 6 months or so ongoing, my acupuncturist kept inviting me to a breathwork session. And I kept ignoring the invite, thinking that it was basically the same thing I was doing in yoga. Like I didn't know what breathwork was. I had never heard of it other than pranayama and what I was teaching in yoga classes. So I kept just like really gently brushing that off until I finally went. And if anyone watching this has ever experienced a somatic breathwork journey, it's not like yoga. It's not like what we were doing in a yoga class. And everything, like everything changed for me. It was this incredibly profound experience where I will shorten that story. I realized that I had completely disconnected from my own sense of knowing, like my own sense of who I was, my voice in particular. She had us activating our voice. So we were breathing, and it was this whole cathartic release, and she had us using our voice. And I couldn't use my voice. Nothing would come out. I was getting really furious with myself, like, what's wrong with you? Everyone else is making these sounds. Why can't you do it? And like really going down this really ugly spiral, which led me down of like, oh, right, like all of the women in my family had no voice, like all of the women. And then I started to think, oh, well, how many other women didn't have a voice, don't have a voice? And then I'm, getting angry. I'm getting really, really angry. And finally, at the end, I have this little teeny release, this like squeak of a sound comes out of me, and water works. And it was this like instant knowing within every cell of my body that that story of women not having a voice ended in like right here with me. Like that stops here. For me, it was it was wildly empowering. It was the most me I'd ever felt in my whole life. And I left that session and I asked her who her teacher was, and I proceeded to like put my steps in place to quit my career of 15 years of running my own personal training business. And I dove headfirst into training. I spent the next 3 years in training with my teacher and quit personal training, like burned my business to the ground essentially. Completely, and didn't work. Not immediately. I would say probably 6 to 7 months after that breath journey, I like closed the chapter, and then I didn't work for almost a year. I was like, I don't even know what I just did, and what am I going to do? Oh my God. But it felt so right. It felt so right. And I haven't looked back since, and it's hilarious. Like I have friends ask me fitness questions, and it's like, as soon as I left that world, I left everything. I'm like, I don't even remember how to teach you to do a push-up. Like it's like gone out of my mind. And this feels like something I've done for lifetimes over and over and over. So it feels like I've been here forever. And yet I still don't know how to tell people what I do. I don't know.
Well, I found this really excellent Instagram post that I want to dive into or try to dive into with you. And so it's the one where you talk about how do you receive the everyday gifts, and you talked about how women receive compliments, how they receive money, how they receive help. Can you maybe talk a bit about that?
Yeah, that I feel like that's an ongoing conversation in my world, like my community and my clients. We're so okay. I'm going to be very broad. I'm going to be very broad speaking about women, and not this is not everybody by any means. We're rigid, and we're busy. We're very busy, and we're really focused on everyone else, and we're doing all the things. We're doing, which is actually a very, very masculine, energetic trait, which we need. But it keeps us so busy and so rigid that when someone tries to help us or give us something, such as a compliment, it just bounces off. Like, we're so rigid. It's just like, Lyndsie, I love your glasses. It would be really easy for you to say, oh my gosh, they're old. It's fine. They were like $10 at the grocery store. Or if I was wearing my glasses, you might say, oh, I love your glasses. Instead of, thank you. Thank you. Like, we're just so quick to bounce it back. Oh, you look so good. Or wow, you did a really beautiful job making that floral arrangement. I did it in like 2 seconds. I could have done a way better job, And if we start to consider how we're receiving compliments, receiving offers to support. Oh, can I help you with that? Can I bring something to the dinner? Right? If you're cooking a big dinner for your friends, what can I bring? Oh, nothing. I've got it. Nothing. I've got it. You know what? It would be really nice if someone brought the freaking dessert, or if someone brought something to drink. Maybe you can bring a non-alcoholic wine. But we're just like, no, I got it. And it starts to trickle into, also, if we're not receiving compliments, if we're not allowing help to come in, are we allowing wealth abundance to come in? Are we allowing pleasure to come in? Are we allowing opportunities to come in? Like, if we're shutting off to X, Y, and Z, we're probably shutting off to A, B, C, D, E, F. Like, we're probably just shut off. And it's just this really interesting thing to tease apart. And I think a lot of us are completely unaware, that we're not open to receive. We're so locked
Where
up.
did you learn about this concept, this topic? How did this come into your world? And then how has your life changed now that you understand this and have shifted the way you're thinking about these things and, I guess, responding to these everyday gifts?
Yeah, it's a lot has shifted for me. Where have I learned this? Many mentors, different mentors. My teacher does a lot of somatic work, so really working with the whole body, energetic, emotional, physical, spiritual, and masculine, feminine sides of our bodies. Right, left side is feminine, right side is masculine. A lot of my female mentors work in energetics, so masculine, feminine energetics, and what all of that means, and you can just start to, it's like you learn something, or it's like you buy a white car and all of a sudden you see white cars everywhere. It's like I start to learn about feminine, masculine energetics, and now I'm like, oh my God, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. And how it's really landed for me is, so I've been an entrepreneur since I was 20. Like, as soon as I, left the house and went into the working world, I worked for myself, which is interesting because nobody ever demonstrated that for me. Like, none of my family was entrepreneurial, and that's just where I ended up going. And so, as you know, like, you got to work. Like, it's not coming to you. You have to work. And I went into pretty hard hustle mode. I also lost my mother when I was 20. So there was a really big shift for me where everything that I knew as stable, like my home, my foundation, my love, my wisdom, like everything that I was taking in as a young person was gone. And I went from literally living at home and being taken care of to, renting a place, paying my insurance, paying my gas, paying my phone bill, paying rent, buying groceries, like all the things that you do as an adult, and getting a job. And also, what I should have been doing in there was grieving the loss of my mom. But I got so deep into hustle, I'm okay, protection, rigid, go, 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 that I actually didn't allow myself to really mourn at all. I cried and I thought that was it. but it just wasn't. And 20 years later, I now know what that did is it put me in survival. It put me in protection. It kept me in this rigidity where I totally got through. I did well. I created a good business. I was living a life that I think for many looked really amazing. And what I've recently come to know, I mean, like in the last 6 months, I've made contact with this truth is that I was only allowing myself to show the good. I was only allowing people to see me happy and bubbly and excited about this thing that I'm doing, and I'm going here and I'm doing this and I'm working with this company, and I was only allowing the good to be seen, and I was only allowing the good to be felt. I would go to my natural path, and the question is always, how are your stress levels? And I would always say, oh, I don't have really any stress. I really love my job. And it was like, okay, like your job is the only thing that would even contribute to stress. But that was always my answer. Oh, I love my job. I have like no stress. I have such low stress. But the truth of it is I had a lot of stress that I would divert or avoid or sweep under the rug or like stuff down somewhere because I had to keep going. And if I looked at stress, it in my subconscious, I was like, oh my God, it would all just unfold. I'd have to look at everything. And so now in this work, and thank God for this work and the tools that I have, I am able to really slowly start to like peel back some layers. And I would say like kind of follow the thread. And I'm able to feel the feelings that I didn't feel before, which puts me back into the feminine. So where this was going is like that rigidity and that protection and that hustle was me like living 24/7 in my really, really intense masculine energy and having no real contact with my feminine. And now I'm really finding the balance, and I'm almost like pendulum swinging into the feminine. And thank God I have a partner who can like is really strong masculine and can like really hold that down for me, because I am now finally like coming back in. Okay, how can I have balance? Because as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, I have to have structure. I have to have masculine energy, like up front. Like I have 3 day planners. Like I've got my whiteboard. Like there is like structure, so that I look at my calendar. I'm like, oh, between 4 and 7, I have nothing. Amazing. I'm gonna bake. I'm gonna go play in the garden. I'm gonna do yoga. I'm gonna watch Netflix. Like there's that flow of the feminine. And so it's been a really interesting and really empowering thing to start learning and actually witnessing in myself and giving myself forgiveness for how I spent the last 20 years, like so tight and so disconnected. And so a practice of mine has been receiving compliments, because I am the person who would immediately like spew it back at you. I'm really practicing that, like, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And you were talking about, I think it was, I think that post was about your program that you were working on at the time and delivering, and it was about helping women become more confident. Is that right?
That's an aspect of all of the work that I do. So I actually I can't fully remember what I would have been offering at that time. But part of this work for me is in that, like I talk about reclaiming our power. It's like I feel that's the statement that feels really good to me, reclaiming our power.
Yeah.
And in that, like that's so vast to me. That's reclaiming your choice, right? We so often make decisions and choices based off of what we've always made decisions and choices off of, what our family showed us, what society has showed us, what the circle of people we spend our time with is going to choose, what our social media following, what they would choose. And so it's getting us back into a deeper relationship with ourselves, so that that decision is actually coming from like, oh wait, what does Kyla want? Like Kyla want, not what did like little Kyla who didn't know what to do and she wanted to impress everyone. Like what does Kyla want? So it's bringing us back into relation with that strong sense of self, where with that comes confidence, comes a like unwavering trust in self, comes with our voice, feeling like we can use our voice to share what we love, what we're passionate about, what we're not okay with, what we don't stand for, what we wish was different. Like what we're sharing in our business, what, all the things. And part of that, is, oh my gosh, there's many, many parts, but I'm trying to thread it back to that post. It's having a relationship with both your masculine and your feminine, like allowing yourself. And I was talking about the simple pleasures in life. It's like, okay, I just rubbed this hand lotion on that my spa lady gave me the other day. And I could easily just like rub it into my hands and like call it a day. But what about if I just really slowly like massaged it into my hand, and not only like, oh, I really get to enjoy that smell, but wow, that feels really good. And I don't know the last time I had my hand massaged, and just like taking moments to enjoy these little wonderful gifts. What if I didn't have a hand? What if my hand got amputated? Like, just enjoy this, enjoy all of it. I have a funny little fizzy drink here. I could just slam it back, or I could like let the flavors kind of sit in my mouth. And it's just these reminders, like we could slow down everything and just actually enjoy and be in a state of pleasure all the time. Like all the time. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's great.
Thanks.
So now let's talk about the fempreneur, the hustle, the fempreneur lifestyle. Yeah, whether it be hustling, whether it be, slowing down and enjoying the journey. What is being a fempreneur mean to you, and how has your fempreneur journey, I guess, just evolved over the last few years?
Yeah. It's funny. I had this little phase of time where I really didn't like the word hustle. It was actually fairly recently. I was like, no more hustle. We've hustled enough. And the truth of the matter is, actually, I'll come back to the truth of the matter. I was in, again, like I said, I was in that survival mode where the story in like the back of my mind, in my subconscious, not consciously at all, but the story in the back of my mind would have been, and I trust that this is actually very similar for most people, is if I'm not working all the time, like every waking moment, I'm not getting clients, I'm not getting calls, I'm not getting appointments, I'm not getting paid, ergo I die. Like I will go broke, I will have no food, and I will die at the, like, that's the worst case, like rabbit hole. It's survival. We have to. And so I was working all the time. I would be answering client text messages at 11 p.m. when my alarm was set for 5 a.m. Like no boundaries, hustling all the time, diminishing my value, lowering my prices to meet someone, just to like get a deal, get a job, get a client, get a something. Completely undervaluing was, and again, that was me. Oh, what do they want? What do they want? They want that training package for 50% off. Okay. Never about what does Kyla want. It was always like, I've just got to get money. I've just got to get money. And then I started to learn about the energetics of masculine and feminine and like the world of manifestation, and all of these new worlds were coming into my life in the last, like, I don't know, call it like 7 years, 6 or 7 years. And I was like, no more hustle, no more hustle. And what I believe very true now is if you're going to run your own business and you're going to be a fempreneur, you're going to hustle, girl. You're going to hustle. You've got to work. Like, get really clear on what you want. This is the thing too, is when we know ourselves more, we have that clarity. And so if you're clear and you know exactly what you want, what you're going after, well, the universe isn't just going to like plop it on your lap with a pretty little bow because you've manifested it and you've asked for it. You've got to show up and you've got to take the steps. And so, yeah, sit in the energy of, envision it, manifest it, call it in, and then do the steps associated to have that come to you. And that involves working. It involves working, where I think there is space for us to maybe hustle slightly less, is to hire an assistant, hire a VA, like ask for help. There are people who want to help you. There are people who are going to do the jobs that you hate doing with joy, and they're going to do them way better than you could do them. And so ask for help. You've got to work, but we don't have to like work ourselves to the bone.
Right. We don't have to do everything ourselves for the work to get done. Yeah.
No, it'll get done. Probably better.
So you became an entrepreneur in your 20s. You were working as a personal trainer. And then fast forward to more recently, you've started, a new business, or I guess a new angle on your health and wellness
Mhm,
entrepreneurial journey. And what was different about, I guess maybe we'll call it like your second business, the
mhm,
one you have now? What was different about starting that business, about the marketing, about the getting
mhm.
clients, about the packaging your smart brain and offering it to the world? What was different more recently than your first kind of startup story?
Yeah. People know what fitness is. People know what working out is. People know what a personal trainer is. It's a really easy sell. It's a really easy sell. I'm going to help you lose weight. I'm going to help you gain weight. I'm going to help you look different. You
Yeah.
know, people get that. So, somatic work, my partner does very similar work. And we have this conversation. We're like, it's so hard to sell this. Like, transformation, we're going to like go into your trapped emotion and we're going to help you like pull out some of the sticky parts, and you're probably going to cry a lot. You're going to have some rage come up, you're going to have fear come up, you're going to have grief come up, you're going to have joy and pleasure come up, but it's all in there. And I promise you're going to feel like a completely different person on the other side. um, like, it's so different. It's so different. And I was really focused on the first couple of years, first 2 years of my business, in the healing. I was really emphasizing the healing because that was also kind of trendy. Like, healing work was
Mm,
kind of trendy. And so I was going that approach. And what I was finding interesting is that I was talking about healing. I was getting a lot of people who were like, I need healing. And the energy was, uh, okay, I'm the word that's coming to me. I want to say it's like, okay, I don't want to be offensive in the slightest, but it's a bit like heavy, almost like victimy. Like, I'm broken. I'm not okay. And
mm,
so we were just like kind of sitting in this energy of like, not enough, broken, needing healing, need to be fixed. And so I was like, this is not the energy that I want to be in, nor do I want my clients to be in. So instead, I started speaking about the other side, which was the empowerment, the clarity, the confidence, the vibrancy, the pleasure, the all the things. And this has only been in the last year that I've even started shifting that. And I'm still figuring it out. I'm still figuring out how to invite people into this work, because it's not, the work that I do, it takes, like, let's pretend you were a client. It takes your full commitment. Like, you need to be like, oh, I'm here and I'm ready to
yeah.
make some shifts and changes and unwire some old patterns that I've been following. And I understand it's going to
Mm,
be, a little bit uncomfortable, but I'm here for it. It's it's not like, hey, I'm going to teach you how to make $10,000 in a month. Join my program. People are like, oh, heck yeah, I want to make $10,000 a month. I'm going to buy that program. I don't even care who the person is. I'm just going to buy that program. This is
yeah.
intimate work. So I need people to like me. I need them to trust me. I need them to trust themselves even just a little bit. There needs to be like, there needs to be a vibe. There needs to be a connection. And they need to be in a place where they're like, okay, this is all fine, but I want more. Like, I could live like this forever, but I want more, and I want bigger and brighter and better. Like, I want more. And there's a lot of us, and I very much have been one of them, where it's like, oh, but this is good enough. This is good enough. So it's a really interesting piece for me, and I'm still figuring out, like, what is the language? Like, what this work is potent. I believe everyone needs it. I will need it for the rest of my life. It's so powerful. And it's one of those things also that you really have to experience. You can tell someone, again, I'm going to help you earn $10,000 a month in your business. They get that. They can wrap their head around that. That's tangible. This work, I feel you have to experience. Like, even breath, like just breath work alone. I don't know how to explain that to someone. What can happen in a breathwork session? The first thing I ask is, have you done a psychedelic? If they say no, then I'm like, well, I don't know. And if they say yes, I say, okay, well, you know how it's hard to explain that whole experience?
Yeah.
It's hard to explain. It's impossible to explain.
Yeah.
So it's been a journey, and it's been good because it's really allowed me to get like more clear and more clear and more clear and more clear on my mission and how I support people and what it looks like to move through the whole process. But I don't have the magic golden ticket yet in my language.
So if the language has been, still evolving and you're still kind of, I guess, finding new and better ways to explain this, let's talk to the fempreneurs that are, working in some form of the health and wellness realm and are curious to know your tips and tricks for marketing and things that have worked well for you, things that have resulted in you getting some of those ideal clients. Tell us a bit about what you believe to be true about marketing.
Yeah. So showing up, it's one thing, is you have to show up. And nowadays it's social media. That's the thing. This is where we are. It's the day of social media. So it means like having your face in a video, talking to your people, letting them get to know you. They have to get to know you. They're going to invest their time. They're going to invest their money in you or your business. Like they want to know you. It's different. Maybe if you have like an actual product, like if I sold lotion, I maybe wouldn't have to have my face in there all the time. But for someone who's actually involved like face to face in their business, showing up consistently in your authentic self. So we're not copying people. We're not doing what we saw so-and-so do. We're not going to talk like her. We're not going to do her hair like her. We're not going to use the same reel format that she used. Like it has to be very much you. And if it's not, then we're bringing someone else's energy. And so you're probably, there's no attraction that's not right. You need to be side one of the magnet so that your ideal clients are like, oh, yes, her energy. And so getting clear first, maybe on what energy do I want my business to give people? Like, what do I want people to feel when they scroll onto my page or come onto my website or come into my Etsy shop or whatever it might be, or to my physical shop? Get into that energy and then post the video, then go live, then write your blog post, write your email from the energy that you want people to feel when they're in your presence. Not like, it's Monday morning, I have to write my email. Right. I feel like it's all about the energy and the intention behind it. I'll also say, like, when it comes to social media, if you're feeling not in the greatest of mood, but you're feeling like you have to post, you don't have to post. Like, don't post, don't write an email, don't do the things from a place where you're feeling disconnected from your business or disconnected from yourself. It's felt. I created a whole program from a place where I felt really pressured to get a program out, and it didn't sell one. I launched it twice, didn't sell one, because the energy from it was not excited. It was from a place of like, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this. And then I dropped into like, what do I actually want to create? And I created what is now my main product, and it's beautiful and, doing great. So that was really show up in the energy always that you want people to feel when they're in your business or your space.
Do you have some tips or tricks for kind of how to get your energy up, for how to, like, maybe a mantra or a way to refocus on, who you are and the business that you want to have, or just, like how to kind of get your mojo going before you need to show up on social media?
Yeah. The first thing I just thought of is, I don't know if anyone listening, I'm sure someone has been to a Tony Robbins seminar, but I went to, have you?
I haven't,
okay.
But I've seen the shows.
I mean, he's a huge energy. So, we can assume, even if we haven't been there, what it might be like, but he's huge on just shifting your energy and getting you into peak state, he calls it. And so when you're at one of his workshops or even doing it online, like he has you up on your feet all the time, arms overhead, and you're like hooting and hollering, and you cannot help. You feel ridiculous at first, but you can't help but be in a higher vibration, more energy, you're open, there's blood flowing, you're breathing more, like that in and of itself. So my first thing would be like, stand up, jump up, arms over your head. You might make a whole bunch of like hooting and hollering, funny noises, but even just shaking, like I'm a big fan of shaking. So whether you're seated or standing, I think standing's best. But to stand up, have your feet hip width apart, soften all of your joints, and start with a bounce, and put some good music on. But you start with a bounce in the body, let the joints go limp, start to shake. Give yourself a whole song if you can. You're shaking around, you're like moving all over the place.
Mm.
And then from there, if you don't already feel so much better, which I trust that you'll actually feel like significantly different, from there, just take a moment and sit. What I like to do is, um, if you're working with a particular goal, like right now, I have a particular goal in my business. And so I bring myself to the visual of like, okay, what is it going to be like when, whatever XYZ, my goal is here, tangible in real life. And I sit in that visual for maybe 20, 30 seconds, not very long. And I get like right in it. Like I let the picture like amplify in my mind. It gets really, really, really bright. I feel the feeling. So like I get quite giddy. I start to giggle, and like I'm almost like like in my mind, in my body. And so I actually like do that. Like I allow myself to pretend I'm in that moment. And so I get really, really, really excited and really, really, really happy. And then I do the thing. Because I'm
Nice.
in that energy. Like, but even without that, the Tony Robbins trick is it's really good.
Yeah, I
You
love
gotta
that.
move your body.
I love Yeah, and the music as well, I think
Mhm.
is really a great tip, right? To
Huge
even
fan.
find a handful of songs that you can always just pick one of those 5 songs and it's gonna
Yes.
gonna get your energy up, and then you can.
Yeah. I like for like I'm thinking like Whitney Houston, I want to dance with somebody. Like tell me that that doesn't put you in a higher state. Of course it does.
Yeah,
Whitney Houston.
absolutely. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
So are you originally from Victoria then, Kyla?
I'm from no, I'm from Lake Cowichan.
Okay,
Okay,
good.
say that because you might not know where it is. And it's small. And yeah, I went back and forth. So my parents were divorced. So I was in like Cowichan with my mom, and then like Mill Bay, Shawnigan Lake area with my dad. So kind of like bounced between the two. And then I went really briefly to Nanaimo on the island right after my mom passed. And then abruptly U-turned and came to Victoria. So I've been on the island. I've been in Victoria since 2005. This feels like a very long time.
Nice. And what do you love most about living there?
Oh, it's so beautiful. It's got the mountains, you've got ocean. Like the ocean is 5 minutes from my house. Mountains are 5 minutes from my house. Rivers lit, like it's so dense with natural beauty. Um, yeah, I'll leave it there. Like you're on an island, so there is that. It comes with its
Yeah,
problems, but it's beautiful. I mean, people fly all over the world to come see the island.
yeah,
Yeah, very, very
definitely.
lucky. Mhm.
And then with your business, are you getting people together? Are you doing, day retreats, weekend retreats? Are you getting people together for different types of events
Mhm.
where you can teach and just connect them and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I just got back a few weeks ago from Tulum. I ran a 7-day breathwork and somatics retreat in what I think is the most beautiful place I've ever been. It was 2.5 hours south of Tulum. We were in the middle of nowhere. It was 1.3 million acres of biosphere, like fully protected land. So there was nobody. We could walk the beach for an hour and not see a single person. So we spent 7 nights there doing breathwork in the sand, like amongst the ocean. But I usually run a 7-day retreat once a year, and I run multi different short, like 1 days or 3 days throughout the year. I do monthly in-person breathwork journeys. So we, kind of like 10 to 20 people every month. And yeah, like ideas are just bubbling about what else I'm going to do. My girlfriend and I are looking at renting a spot in Greece this fall for a retreat. So there's always
Mm.
at least a 5 to 7 day retreat somewhere outside of Canada, beautiful and warm. It's just,
Nice.
yeah, depends on where.
Right. And so if people head over to your website, which is
Thesacredessentials.net. Yeah.
right. So if people head over to your website, what are they going to find there for time sensitive offers or
Mhm.
just ways to learn from you in general?
Yeah, so they're going to see right on the homepage, I'm running a 7-day, $7 7-day little offer first week of January or second week of January. So that's moderately time sensitive, I guess, right? January
Yeah.
is coming. And outside of that, we've got the Essentials, which is my online community that's open all the time. Everyone's super welcome. Um, that's my baby. That's my sweet baby. We've got guided breathworks, meditations, yoga, fitness. There's over 200 guided practices. We go live monthly together about 8 times. We have weekly calls every Wednesday. We breathe together twice a month. There's guest teachers. It's a whole fun thing there. So that's open always. And then they'll see on the retreat page everything that's coming up, everything that I have booked that's coming up, and I'll add to that always. And then they'll also see how to work with me in a one-on-one container as well for the new year.
Wonderful.
Mm,
Well, that's fantastic. Well, I'm so glad that we met and that we got to
yeah,
have this conversation. And I'm just really excited about, yeah, everything that you're doing. It's so wonderful and so needed.
thanks. Yeah, that feels really good, and I feel very blessed and excited about the work because it's like as much as it's for my clients, it's for me. This is like again, it's just it's this like unraveling this never-ending onion, and it's this really beautiful journey.
Yeah, well, and it takes a lot of courage to do something like this
Mhm.
for a living
Mhm.
and as a service to others. So yeah, thank you for stepping out and accepting the challenge that that seems to have been bestowed upon you. A lot of people might have shied away from it,
Mhm.
and good for you for just getting out there. You're doing a wonderful job. I love your Instagram channel. You've got such great content
Thank
there.
you.
And you're doing a fantastic job of, I think, inspiring other fempreneurs to,
Mhm.
like you said, show up consistently and be a real human and really just show them the person that is the business,
Mhm.
which I think a lot of fempreneurs have trouble with. So if any of you listening or watching are curious to know different ways you can add more value using social media and connect with more of the right clients, Kyla is a great example of that. So
Mhm.
check out her Instagram account.
Thank you so much. Yeah, this is so great.
Yeah, well, have a great rest of your day. And thank you again for taking the time to share your wisdom on the Fempreneur
Yeah,
podcast.
thanks for hanging with me. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, and if you're ever in the Calgary area, look me up. Would love to get together and yeah, and continue this conversation and catch up with you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right.